Ninjani. Um, ngiyajabula ukunibona igama lami ngunqobile ngakwanzimande. Ngi-clinical psychologist. Ngisebenza in Johannesburg endaweni ekuthiwa ise-Bryanston as a clinical psychologist. I see abantu abadala who need psychological services, ngiyababona nabantwana. Just briefly ukuthi ngifike kanjani la ukuthi ngize ngibe psychologist. Uqala kwami ngaqala ngenza i-BCom, ngahamba ngayosebenza emakhampanini ahlukahlukene, and along the way I found out ukuthi actually I'd like to become a psychologist. That's more interesting. I can help more people. Then ngase ngiyafunda part-time, ngisaqhubeka ngisasebenza. Emva kwalokho ke ngase njengoba sengila. So indlela yami ithe ukuba yinde. So nawe mangabe uqala ukufunda ungaqala kwenye indima ubuye kwesinye isikhathi uyithole usukwenye indima. Kuyenzeka kanjalo. Ngiyajabula ukuba la nokusebenzisana nani.
All right. Hello, Sanbonan Dumelang. Yes, so how many of you speak Sepedi? Okay, so Tobel. All right. So na libitso la ka ke Kgabe Molepo. So I'm a clinical psychologist and I'm also a lecturer at the University of the Witwatersrand. So I currently teach some of the master students that are doing clinical psychology. So for me, what I do, so I'll tell you in my practice or what I do in my clinical work. So I see adolescents and their parents. So I do quite a lot of work with people like you guys. And I also then teach at WITS. So introducing people to psychology, what it's about. And yeah, so I think now I'm looking forward to getting to meet all of you, and I think really getting a chance to, for you to ask us as many questions as possible and to teach and help you understand certain concepts. But I think I think it's quite lovely to sit, as Linda said, in front of, I think, people who are, our future, essentially. So Linda asked me to say, how did we get here? So I was going to say I got here by a car. But I think it's been quite a different journey from Nobile. I was one of those that I went from high school, did my undergrad, went into honors, did my masters, and currently I'm doing my PhD. So, thank you. Cool, but I think it's been a lovely but very difficult journey, and I think it's really lovely to get to share some of those insights with you guys. Like just, how does a journey like that work as well? But looking forward to spending time with you. Right?
Sanbonani, I can hear that everyone is representing their own language. So Molweni, Ninjani. You know, no, I have to represent Nam because I'm closer. Yes, when I kill. So igama lami nguLwanele Khasu. I'm the clinical psychologist and I work also in private practice. And so the reason why I'm here is because we are hoping to really have conversations now, understand the mental health, for you to open up to us, what do you understand, what do you not understand, and really just to give you, at least leave you with something that you can hold on to when you are experiencing some of those difficult times. How I ended up being a psychologist, so ndingumXhosa waseLusikisiki from the Eastern Cape. I grew up and at a very early age in my life, I experienced quite a lot of stuff. So I lost my parents. And part of that was for me to understand what was I feeling and how do I help other people understand what they feel, right? So in having to explore my life, I wanted to be a counselor because I wasn't exposed to psychology. Don't psychology, we don't know any of that stuff. I couldn't even spell it. So I was feeling stuff and I wanted to understand what is this feeling. And in exploring that journey for my own personal healing, I found psychology, or psychology found me. And part of that, that's what I do. I try to figure out, what are people feeling? How do I help them? How do they experience different kinds of traumas, different kinds of emotions? So that's the life that I've dedicated myself to. I love working with young kids like you. Well, you're not kids anymore, you're adolescents and teenagers, sorry. So I really love doing that, and I do some work with supervising psychologists that are in training at WITS, and also I am doing my PhD. So I do everything that. Oh no. So basically, I do everything that allows me to answer the question, why do we do the things that we do, and how can we help people better? So hopefully, when we have our small groups, we can collaborate together in figuring that out for yourselves as well. Thank you.
Dumelang. Le kae? Ke teng. Ke Boikhutso Maubane, ke psychologist, counseling psychologist as well. So where I come from, how did I become? Oh, I was interested in kind of responding to some of my community issues. It's a township, Lape, Pretoria. So I was just interested in that, and then I understood that I can do that while offering therapy to individuals, so work in a community context as well as individuals. And then that's how I landed up finding psychology to be relevant, and it's been an amazing journey as well. I also used to work at VETS, and I offered individual therapy there, mainly to varsity students. And it was nice, and also taught me quite a lot in terms of young people, navigating your career, trying to figure things out for yourself. So yeah, it's been quite a pleasure in that environment, but now I'm also, like you guys, went back to school to further my studies and my PhD as well. So, life is, as you know, as a young person, is always evolving differently. So it's good to be here to also be around young people such as yourself, because it's our passion, and definitely looking forward to spending the day or the morning with you. And I believe it's going to be a very fruitful engagement. Thank you.
Sanibona. Ninjani? The way I love that. Oh my gosh, I love your energy. Hello. My name is Gugu. Kamalam Gugu. Gugu letu Kikaba. In fact, in full, why afterwards. It's Sitabisile Gugu letu Kikaba. That's my name. Yeah, beautiful names. I'm sure the most beautiful names in the room. But you can refer to me as Gugu. I'm a clinical psychologist. I'm from Durban, so I also need you to know what I flew for you. Ngigibele ibhanoyi for you. Because I was told that the future leaders are going to be in the room. And I'm from Kwamashu. You guys have heard of Kwamashu? It's ngau. Thank you. You know, hooray. Thank you. Right. So I needed to say that because I need for you to know that even young girls and boys from Kwamashu or from wherever you're from can be professionals, can be psychologists, can be all sorts of things. And we are so happy to have the opportunity to be with you today. Mina ngiyakhuluma ke ngikhuluma isiZulu. Kodwa nesiNgisi ngiyasazi, manikhuluma isiTswana ngizozwa kancane because I've stayed in Johannesburg for a bit. Sengiphilile ke kodwa mina ingane zami ningangibone nje ngathi ngimncane. Ngidla kahle ngigcoba itaputapu. That's it. So I've been a lecturer, I've been a researcher, I have lived in 3 different continents. I'm currently pursuing a PhD. Yes, Sansa. So when I describe what I do now, I describe it as I'm a person who tries and enables, whether it is systems or people, to reach their full potential. So that's what I do as a clinical psychologist, because I'm not doing clinical work, but I'm trying to do work that enables us to become the best version of ourselves. So thank you for having us.
Good morning, Dumelang. And I'll teach you another one, habari. Same Zuri. Thank you. My name is Ivy Mugambi. I am a counseling psychologist, and I woke up very early for you guys. I'm very excited. So this is, how did I get here? So this is my second career. So straight from matric, I did a BCom, marketing, and did that for a while in a small business. I'm originally from Kenya, and then went to Botswana. Thank you. And then later in life, I realized that I am being drawn to psychology, and also sometimes, just like Luanele, you know, you have your own stuff you haven't dealt with. Sometimes the people around you are not really supportive, you know, the way you want them to be, and therefore you realize that, you know what, these other people who are trained in the mind, in behavior, you know, and nobody even tells us how we need to understand our emotional well-being. So you know, it's good that you're working hard in school and you get good grades, but you find that sometimes you just need some other support, eh? Because you wake up, maybe you are not even sure, you're feeling down and anxious. And so psychology is just that way, where we say that we can understand ourselves mentally, emotionally, because it's just as important as physical health. And so I'm really looking forward to spending time with you guys, and I'm hoping we can be able to have nice conversations, and you guys will get something from the conversation, even in terms of your skills, and that will help you moving forward. Oh, I'm also having a private practice in Midrand. Normally I see young adults, so like you guys straight to varsity, mostly my clients from varsity and young professionals. And you find that some of them say, oh, I wish I had this in school. So it's really awesome that we get to spend time with you guys. Thank you.
Molani. Sanibonani. Dumela. Unjani. Goeiemorgen. How's it? Mina, Ningi, Nugu Kigan, or KG, if we keep it nice and easy. Thank you so much for creating the space between us with such an incredible warm welcome this morning. Such a privilege to be here. I'm a counseling psychologist, and I run my own private practice as well. So a little bit about how I got here. I am originally from Joburg, but I spent a lot of my time in the Eastern Cape. So I studied at Fort Hare in the Eastern Cape, and I did a lot of community work in the Transkei with a lot of the Xhosa community. And it was one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. So that shaped my journey in terms of how I got here this morning, and it's such a wonderful opportunity to work with the future of our country and to pass down so many skills that we have had a privilege of learning, and hopefully we can pass them down, because I know how much pressure. I work a lot with adolescents. I know how much pressure there is going into matric. I know how much pressure there is looking at universities, and I know a lot of the time mental health often takes a back seat. So I'm so glad we get the opportunity this morning, and thank you so much for embracing us and treating us to that warm welcome. It was a very, very special moment. So Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Thank you, fellow psychologists. What I want to do is just talk you through briefly, before you go to the groups, on what we believe mental health to be. So firstly, mental health is not a static thing. It's like physical health. You're not always healthy. Sometimes you've got a cold, right? Yeah? Everyone has physical health, but sometimes that physical health is compromised. So the way that I want you to think about mental health is that it's like a journey, right? Things happen and you can go back and forth. So you can start off on a day or in a month or in a year feeling healthy, you're thriving, the relationships with your friends are working, relationships with your parents are working, you're motivated, you can get stuff done. And that's what we call healthy and thriving. Things are happening, you're able to, when you're feeling sad, you know what to do, etc. You're healthy and thriving. But then something happens, you fail a test. What happens to you when you fail a test that you think you've put all of you into? What happens to you? You feel discouraged and you lose interest, right? And you actually feel like you're a failure, okay? So, and when those things happen, you've got a few choices to make, right? If you've got a support network around you that can help you start thinking differently, that's great. But if you have skills that can really pull you up, skills that help you think a certain way, that's even better, right? When you can pull it from inside. If you have a network, that's great, but if you can pull it from inside, that's even better. And those are the kind of questions I'd like you to ask the psychologists in the group, in the individual groups. How do I pull it from inside, okay? Now, if you're not able to pull it from inside, you get what we call common reversible distress. Can't sleep, maybe you can't eat or you're overeating, can't relax really. The things that you normally find to relax don't relax you. Those things are symptoms, right? So all of those things, you have low energy, you don't really feel like going out, those things are symptoms. But as you can see, they're still reversible. They're distressed, but they're reversible. What reverses them is if you have the skills and if you have a support system. Now, if you don't have the skills, no support system, sometimes, and the more tests you fail or being exposed to things in your home, fighting parents, etc., you get injured. You then have to come and see one of us. Or we have to give you medication. Injury looks like thinking about suicide. Injury looks like cutting. Injury looks like starving myself. Injury looks like can't sleep at all. Injury looks like not wanting to come out of the house. Or you're feeling hopeless or helpless, or your grades start slipping. But there are things then that happen to you, and you know that those things are injuries. Again, if we do nothing, if we have no skills, if we don't have support around us, then we can really get to severe illness. Right? So what I want to say this morning before you go into the group is that you don't jump from being healthy to severe illness. It's a process. The less we take care, the more we get to a point where we can actually have severe illness. And of course, I don't know about you, but in our community, certainly when I was growing up, this was not something we spoke about. So for someone to say, I'm just not feeling okay, like, what do you mean? Right? So today, I want you to use the opportunity to talk about the things and to ask the questions around, what do I do when I feel A, B, C, D? All right, so this is your opportunity over the next hour. In our community, we had people who walked around, basically, right? And mental illness was seen as something really horrible, either witchcrafty or it's the people who are dirty on the streets who, you and I know because you're the leaders of today, there are things I know you know, that it lives right here in this room. If 1 in 10 has contemplated suicide, which is what our stats say, then it's living in this room. Okay? So use this opportunity to have the discussion. Sizoba baningi in the group, but try and engage as much as possible. So with that, I'd like to ask the psychologists to please just take 3 rows at a time. We at a point where we're ready, Puchijin, to go to the different places. So I literally, if you could just stand next to the middle of 3 rows, and then off we go. Thank you, everyone.